Back tonight, it'll be mild under a clear sky, only dropping into the low and mid 50s. A little bit cooler as high temperatures drop back into the upper 70s for our Thursday and Friday, back up around 80 for Saturday, but there's an even bigger cold front on the way by the end of the weekend. High temperatures will drop back into the 60s on Sunday and Monday. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Fall is here. Be ready with these propane fuel deals from G&B Energy. Get cozy with a new fireplace and save up to $500 with rebates on cozy heat gas inserts. Or receive a free on-off remote with purchase of select gas log sets. The best deal of all, Rinnai tankless water heaters start at $295 after rebates. Visit G&B Energy in Statesville or gbeenergy.com. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
And hello, everyone. Welcome to the Scoreboard. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day. Yes, you're listening to me, Joe Berg, here on the Scoreboard on WSIC 844 Studio 4. That is the phone number. If you happen to have something you want to talk about, anything on your mind, I'm going to be here. Man, we got some time today. We got about 54 minutes or so on the airwaves today. Talking about your sports, local sports, regional, national. We have some updates with local playoffs that have been going on. 1A, 2A, 3A, and 4A volleyball had their first round of the playoffs last night. If you think back to Monday, we had Pine Lake Prep volleyball program joining us here on the Scoreboard. They were in action last night, taking on Patton High School. We're going to get into the game and see how Pine Lake fared and all the other schools in the area that are participating in the volleyball playoffs as well. Now, like I told you, I know that we have soccer, football, there's a lot of fall sports that are going on right now. But the only one that is in the playoffs that we're really focusing on right now is the volleyball season. Football around the corner from the playoffs. You also have soccer. It's going to be a few more weeks until they get into the playoffs, and then all of a sudden, it's going to be winter. Basketball is starting soon. I don't know if anybody forgot, but basketball is a winter sport in high school, so it'll be coming up soon. Once the fall sports are over, we'll start previewing and talking about basketball. We did a good job with that last year. Had a few interviews of local basketball programs in the area. Going to see what we can do to get more of those programs here on the air on the Scoreboard. There's other things going on in the world of sports. Oh boy, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if anybody saw the news from yesterday, literally as we went off air yesterday here on the Scoreboard, the news broke and I got a text about it that Andy Dalton, the quarterback, the Red Rifle for the Carolina Panthers, was involved in a car accident in Charlotte yesterday. A very unfortunate situation for him. Everybody is okay. They were not rushed to the hospital, but we might have some changes to the Panthers quarterback coming up this weekend as they head to Denver to take on the Broncos. We will talk about that. We also have a trade in the NFL today. There's a big trade, that is, and it has to do with the best team in the NFL right now. Yes, I'm talking about the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs made a move. They got another shiny new wide receiver. We're going to talk about that as well because it is an important thing that happened. And trades in the NFL, I've talked about this in the past where I say, the deadline and just trades in general in season in the NFL, there's not all that much that happens. Well, this year it's a little bit different. We've had some trades from last week. We got some going on now. Big ones, that is. It's not like these are just, a role player here and there. We're getting starting wide receivers getting sent plenty of different places. It started with the Jets last week, getting Devontae Adams. And today, the Kansas City Chiefs, early this morning, made a trade with the Tennessee Titans to bring DeAndre Hopkins to the program. Oh, boy. Now, DeAndre Hopkins is not the player that he used to be. And that happens for wide receivers. We've talked about it before. Once you get over the age of 30 for a wide receiver, you definitely start to lose a step. But DeAndre Hopkins still a very serviceable player in the NFL. And now all of a sudden, he goes to the best team in the NFL. I don't know how many owners and GMs care about who they trade with. But I have a feeling that there's a lot of them out there right now who are not happy with the Tennessee Titans. I mean, you send a number one wide receiver to a team that's already 6-0 on the year. And what are we expecting to happen? Like, is it going to make them worse? No. Why would you trade to the best team in your conference, nonetheless? I just don't understand. Now, I get it. The Titans, they're not really going anywhere this year. They're trying to sell their assets to get more, they're going to sell their assets to get more assets for the future to try and rebuild that program, which definitely needs to be rebuilt. But for the Chiefs, man, we said it early in the year. The one thing it looked like they were missing on that offense was a true number one wide receiver. Now, I don't know if DeAndre Hopkins is going to be able to play like a true number one receiver, but he is and has been a number one receiver in the NFL before. Can he do it again? Can he be the DeAndre Hopkins that we've known over the years? Maybe. We'll see. First game for him is going to be this coming weekend. We also had the NBA last night. Yeah, the NBA was going on. Opening night, the Boston Celtics raised a banner in the TD Garden. It is their 18th championship banner, which broke the tie with the Lakers for the most in the NBA. Boston was in action. They played the New York Knicks last night, and the Lakers, the team that's second all-time in championships, they were also in action last night. Only 2 games to start things off in the NBA now. Tonight, though, as we go into 7 o'clock, we have a full slate of NBA games. It is going to be a packed day. If you're a basketball fan, today is your day. Now, we still have a few days until the World Series start, and there's no football going on tonight, at least not NFL-wise. Now, when you look at the NCAA schedule and just kind of what's going on around the NCAA, you'll see that we do have 2 football games tonight for Division I teams. Conference USA Wednesday night, baby. We got Liberty and Kennesaw State with Middle Tennessee and Jacksonville State. Those games are at 7 and 7:30. CBS Sports Network and ESPN2. Man, gotta love it. Gotta love it. We actually had college football last night as well on a Tuesday. Yeah, I know. But we did have Tuesday night football here. Sam Houston State, Florida International, UTEP, and Louisiana Tech were in action. That's more Conference USA for you. We have football tomorrow for college. We have Friday for college. And then obviously you got the big slate of games coming up on Saturday. So we'll talk a little bit of college football, get you prepared for the weekend, talk a little bit about the ratings or the rankings, because things have changed and we haven't gone over it just yet. We spent a lot of time on high school sports here recently, so we will talk about these rankings a little bit later on tonight. And we'll go over everything that I just talked about, the NFL. When we come back from our first break, we're going to get into high school volleyball, go through some of those playoffs, and then get into college football, maybe a little bit of NASCAR, and definitely some NFL as we have big news for the Carolina Panthers. We got a long program ahead of us here, plenty of time to get your phone calls in if you have something on your mind. 844-STUDIO-4. That's 844-788-3464. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We have a great show for you today. We'll be back right after this.
Keep it right here. We'll have more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg in just a moment from 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, a warm Wednesday coming up, plenty of sunshine as temperatures warm up to around 80 for the afternoon. Around the lake, temperatures fall back tonight. It'll be mild under a clear sky, only dropping into the low and mid 50s. A little bit cooler as high temperatures drop back into the upper 70s for our Thursday and Friday. Back up around 80 for Saturday, but there's an even bigger cold front on the way by the end of the weekend. High temperatures will drop back into the 60s by Sunday and Monday. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
The WSIC app is available now wherever you get your apps, featuring local deals from great local businesses like Greystone Lodge in Boone.
Cakes and cookies, toys and gifts.
The Southern Christmas Show, November 14th through 24th at the Park Expo and Conference Center. Save on tickets at southernchristmasshow.com, courtesy of Kraft Body Scan.
The Southern Christmas Show.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Brookdale Village in Huntersville presents the Live Under the Oaks season finale on Friday. This free outdoor concert series comes to a close with a Kids in America performance at 6 p.m. powered by Waves Entertainment. Grab your lawn chairs and your friends for the Live Under the Oaks season finale Friday night at Brookdale Village. Sunday is the annual Boo Fest at Ghostface Brewing in Mooresville. Put on your Halloween costume and enjoy the party with a live concert by Alice Cooper tribute band Love It to Death. Ghostface will be serving up cold brews, their delicious kitchen will be open with a full menu, and Beer Lab will have mixed drinks. Spend Sunday at Ghostface Brewing in Mooresville for the Boo Fest Halloween party. The Dirt Track at Charlotte Motor Speedway presents the World of Outlaws World Finals on the 6th of November through the 9th. Catch Dirt Racing's top 3 series for 4 days of action to decide their championships, featuring the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series, the World of Outlaws Late Model Series, and the Super Dirt Car Big Block Modifieds. Single day and 4-day ticket packages and camping information are all available at charlottemotorspeedway.com. Often imitated, never duplicated. The World of Outlaws World Finals invade the Charlotte Motor Speedway Dirt Track in November. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
The Renaissance Festival is back! Saturdays and Sundays, now through November 24th. Eat, drink, be merry at the Renaissance Festival. Tickets available online only at renfestinfo.com. Don't miss it!
Your Tuesdays just got a lot better. The Good Soul, a feel-good show that dives into the stories of extraordinary people, is headed to WSIC. Host Patty Alvarez brings a sit-down, fun conversation to the airwaves to give you an early week pick-me-up.
Number 1 for talk in Lake Norman, Statesville.
105.9, 100.7, WSIC. Now more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg on 105.9, 100.7, WSIC.
And welcome back to the Scoreboard, ladies and gentlemen. Segment 2 here on this beautiful Wednesday. It is gorgeous out there. If you haven't been outside today, man, I feel bad for you because it is a beautiful, beautiful day. It's also a beautiful night for sports. Always is, right? And last night we had high school volleyball playoffs. Round 1, game 1 for all of these teams. Everybody was in action, and I mean everybody. From 1A all the way up to 4A. We have quite a few results to go over in volleyball. So let's go ahead and get the conversation started. We're going to get into the 1A conferences here. We had a couple of schools in the area participating in the playoffs here for volleyball. One of those schools, and I think it's actually the closest to our area and the only one that is right smack in our listening area, is Christ the King High School out of Huntersville, North Carolina. They took on South Stanley High School last night in game 1 of their playoff run, and they absolutely dominated with a 3-0 win. Christ the King winning their sets 25-7, 25-16, and 25-21. So South Stanley got a little bit better as the game progressed, but man, 25-7 on that first set. That's tough to recover from. You know, it's not like you can just turn the page. You know, that definitely stings a little, but you got to clear your head and keep moving. South Stanley was able to do that a little bit, but not enough to put up a fight in this one as they fall 3-0. So Christ the King High School will be moving on as the 6th seed. They'll be now taking on number 11 tomorrow night. Yes, game 2 of the playoffs are going to be taking place tomorrow night. It'll be Christ the King High School taking on Hiwassee Dam High School, the 11 seed. No upset here. One thing that I found interesting about this 1A bracket is there was only one game that went 5 sets, and that was Union Academy taking on Bradford Prep, an 8 and a 25. 25-17 for Union Academy, then 25-18 Bradford, 25-18 Union, 25-20 Bradford, and then a 15-10 final set for Union Academy to get the win. They're going to take on the 9 seed here in round number 2. The 1 seed Cherokee, they move on. They dominate their game, going 25-6, 25-7, and 25-5 against South Davidson. That is going to be a team to look out for as Cherokee, the 1 seed of the 1A conferences. So congratulations to Christ the King High School. They're moving on in the 1A championship here, and they're into round number 2. Going into the 2A playoff, that is where my alma mater, Pine Lake, is participating in the playoffs. It was the 12 seed Pine Lake taking on number 21 Patton High School. Pine Lake getting it done, 3-0. The final in this one. For Patton High School, they did not put up a great showing, not winning a set. The stats have not been entered on Max Preps on this one, so I'm not sure exactly what the scoring was in these 3 sets. But all you need to know is Pine Lake, they got out to a 3-0 lead there. They win it, taking the clean sweep on the sets, 3-0. Pine Lake moving on to round number 2. Round 2 games are tomorrow, so keep that in mind. There is one day off, and then Pine Lake's going to be going on the road. Yeah, it's a road playoff game for Pine Lake Volleyball as they're going to be taking on number 5, East Surrey. Now, East Surrey, the 5 seed, took on number 28, Mount Pleasant last night, and they won that game 3-1. So they did drop a set, but they were able to get the victory nonetheless. Game 2 of these playoffs here, round 2, I should say, taking place tomorrow. This game is going to be at 6 o'clock. So immediately following the scoreboard tomorrow, you'll have Pine Lake taking on East Surrey. Now, East Surrey, I had to look it up, up in Pilot Mountain, it's north and slightly west of us. But Pilot Mountain, North Carolina, East Surrey High School, the Cardinals will be hosting Pine Lake Prep in round number 2. Another school in the listening area that we want to talk about is Pine Lake's rival, Community School of Davidson. The 7 seed took on number 26 Salisbury High School and got the 3-0 win. Community School of Davidson, CSD, moves on to round number 2 where they take on Hendersonville. And Hendersonville is actually the 23 seed in these playoffs. Now, the 23 seed took on number 10 East Gatton up in Mount Holly. And this one went 5 sets. 26-24 to East Gatton in set 1. Then a 25-11 win in set 2 for Hendersonville. 26-24 again for East Gatton. 25-14 for Hendersonville, and then a 15-6 victory there for Hendersonville on the sets. It is an upset. It's number 23 beating number 10 to move on into round number 2. Now, there were a few upsets in the 2A bracket. That is a notable one, but also you have number 22 North Surrey, who beat Owen High School, the 11 seed, 3-1 last night. Now, this one is a little bit farther and not really in our listening area, but just found it interesting that we did have a couple of upsets in the 2A bracket. We had an 18 beat a 15 as well. So, a few teams that were supposed to lose ended up winning. Now, I'm not saying supposed to lose, like they were going in there like, yeah, we're going to lose, but they were the lower seed, but they got it done. And that's what sports are all about. That is how the 2A bracket looks right now. So the two schools that we'll be paying attention to, Pine Lake and Community School of Davidson CSD. Moving on to round 2. In the 3A bracket, we had a few schools in this area who are making strides in these playoffs. The 2 seed is North Iredell High School. They took on Piedmont High School and beat them 3-0. It was a clean sweep for North Iredell, who will be facing East Rowan in the second round. East Rowan and South Rowan matched up in round 1. That was a 15 versus an 18. And East Rowan, the 15 seed, got the victory 3-1. Another school in our area, Lake Norman Charter, the 10 seed in the 3A bracket. They had a clean sweep against South Point High School, the 23 seed. So Lake Norman Charter moving on to round number 2. They'll be taking on Enka High School, the 7 seed. All these games, like I said, every single one of them coming up tomorrow night. Now, this one for Lake Norman Charter is a little bit earlier than some of these other games. Lake Norman Charter will be on the road at 5 p.m. That is when that game is going to tip off. I don't know if it's called a tip-off in volleyball. Maybe like a serve-off? No. The inaugural serve? I don't know. The start of the game. How about that? We'll call it the start of the game. We've been talking about Hickory High School quite a bit, the football team having an outstanding year just like they did last year. But the volleyball team isn't too shabby either. The 12-seed Hickory High School took on 21-seeded St. Stephen's, and it was a clean sweep for Hickory. Now, it was a close one. The sets were 25-21, 25-19, and 25-22. So St. Stephen's was definitely able to put up a fight in this one. What's interesting is the next opponent for Hickory High School is going to be Carson High School. Now, Carson's the 5 seed. They played number 28 Crest, and they almost got upset. This one went 5 sets, and the final set went to Carson 15-12. A very close game there, but Carson was able to pull it out. The 5 seed moving on. Another interesting tidbit about this 3A bracket, you had number 8, Rockingham County High School, the 8 seed taking on West Rowan, the 25 seed. Well, the 25 seed ended up winning. Then you have Parkwood High School, who is the 9 seed, playing East Lincoln, the 24 seed, and East Lincoln got it done and pulled off the upset. That means that tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, number 25 West Rowan will be playing number 24 East Lincoln to see who can go on to the 3rd round. Winner's going to play the winner of West Henderson and Forest View. That is the 1 versus the 16 seed in the bracket. So that could be an interesting one, but I just find it interesting that we have a 225 seeds or 220 seeds going up against each other, with a 25 of West Rowan and a 24 of East Lincoln. That's how the 3A bracket is shaking out right now. We'll be keeping an eye on those schools that are in our area, as we always do. And in the 4A bracket, man, things got interesting here. South Iredell, the 14 seed, was able to get the win against Hickory Ridge. The 14 seed will be taking on number 3 Reagan High School. Lake Norman also got it done against Alexander Central. And unfortunately, Mooresville High School dropped their game to Watauga. It was going to be a tough one. It's a 7 versus a 26, with Mooresville being the 26. It was a clean sweep for Watauga, so we are not getting a playoff Lake Norman Mooresville volleyball game, but we'll still have a good one with Lake Norman, the 10 seed, taking on number 7 Watauga. Like I said, we will continue to keep you updated on the volleyball playoffs. Round 2 is going to continue tomorrow night. We'll have all the results for you on Friday. We're going to head to our next commercial break. We'll talk Panthers when we're back.
This guy knows his sports, right? There's more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg on the way on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
On a warm Wednesday coming up, plenty of sunshine as temperatures warm up to around 80 for the afternoon. Around the lake, temperatures fall back tonight. It'll be mild under a clear sky, only dropping into the low and mid 50s. A little bit cooler as high temperatures drop back into the upper 70s for our Thursday and Friday. Back up around 80 for Saturday, but there's an even bigger cold front on the way by the end of the weekend. High temperatures will drop back into the 60s by Sunday and Monday. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center and meteorologist Chase Myers.
Have you taken the Desco Challenge? Desco is where the professional goes for electrical supplies.
My name is Ashley. I just redid the lighting in my home, and the customer experience at Desco was second to none.
See for yourself at descoinc.com.
Prioritizing your health is one of the best ways to take care of yourself. From routine visits to the joys of pregnancy to the illnesses that stop you in your tracks, Iredell Health System will be by your side. Learn more at iredellhealth.org.
Bob McIntosh here with the McIntosh Law Firm in Davidson. Serving this community has been a collective passion of our law firm since 1997. We offer the quality legal services and results you would expect from a large downtown firm, but with a personal, community-focused approach right here at home. The McIntosh Law Firm, your local legal resource.
To learn more about the McIntosh Law Firm, visit McIntoshLawFirm.com.
Attention, fellow conservative investors. What does the name Reagan mean to you? It stands for being the ultimate conservative. It also stands for the Reagan Gold Group. Do you see storm clouds approaching? The stock market hates uncertainty, and there are plenty of reasons to be concerned. High inflation, unstable debt, and economic uncertainty are just a few. You have car insurance, homeowners insurance, and life insurance. But do you have insurance for your retirement savings and your 401k? We urge all fellow conservative investors to learn about the one asset that could help ensure your nest egg doesn't crack under economic pressure. GOLD, gold. Call the one name any conservative investor needs to know about. Reagan Gold Group.
800-296-1557. 800-296-1557. 800-296-1557. That's 800-296-1557.
Drum Landscape Supply is the go-to spot for anything you need for your yard. Transform your landscaping. Drum Landscape Supply has trees, flowers, natural stone, custom blended grass seed, mulch, and more. Plus, they deliver. DrumLandscapeSupply.com.
Whatever the story,
we have to end our dependence on China.
have your say.
This debt crisis is going to set our economy back big time.
This is WSIC News Talk Now.
I'm Bryce Johnson with this Unpacking It Sports and Faith Minute. In the modern NFL, almost every team utilizes multiple running backs, as putting too much of the load on one player in the backfield would likely cause problems in the long run. The truth is, in life, all of us need to share the load by carrying each other's burdens. We need someone to come alongside us and help us in our backfield, and we need to help with the heavy load others are carrying. We need to serve one another, make sacrifices, assist those who are struggling, and love well. When we do, we can help alleviate some of the pain that is faced when trying to do it alone. The Bible says, carry each other's burdens, and in this way, you will fulfill the law of Christ. Today, let's surrender and realize we don't have to be the only one carrying the ball, but can share our burdens with others. I'm Bryce Johnson, and you can unpack that. For more, go to unpackingit.com.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. A sell-off in the world's largest tech companies weighed heavily on stocks today. The Dow lost 410 points, close to 1%. The S&P slipped 54, 0.9%. The Nasdaq gave up 296, or 1.6%. Home sales slowed last month to the weakest annual pace in 14 years, even with mortgage rates easing and supply growing. The National Association of Realtors says existing home sales fell 1% last month from August, 3.5% from September of 2023. And even though homes were not selling, prices were up 3% from a year ago. The slowdown in home purchases is reflected in the latest data on mortgage applications. Those wanting mortgages for new homes or those refinancing were down to the lowest level since August. Many Americans say they're behind on saving for an emergency. A new Bankrate survey shows nearly 2/3 of U.S. adults fall into that category. I'm Nancy Lyons, Bloomberg Radio.
Talk sports with Joe Berg. Call 844-STUDIO-4. It's the Scoreboard on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
And welcome back to the program, everyone. You're listening to the Scoreboard here on WSIC. 844-STUDIO-4 is the phone number if you have something you want to chat with me about here on this beautiful Wednesday. Just got done talking about volleyball playoffs, which are going on. Game number 1, round number 1 last night. Round 2 of the volleyball playoffs will be taking place tomorrow. This is the NCHSAA Volleyball Championship Tournament. We're going to move on from the local scene and get into some news that broke yesterday with the Carolina Panthers. It was reported late yesterday. Not super late, but last night, right around the time we went off air. I mean, I got the text about it 10 seconds before I said goodbye. And I mean, I saw it and I couldn't do anything because we were going for the day. But now we have some time to talk about it. And we have some updates from head coach Dave Canals. Here's the first thing you need to know. Last night, Andy Dalton was involved in a multi-vehicle accident where his family was in the car with him. Yeah, so it was Dalton, his wife, and his children all in the car. All 3 of his children actually were in the car. Now, everybody is okay. And there was a dog in the car as well. Everybody was okay, but Dalton did say that the airbags deployed. He wouldn't talk anything more on it. I'm sure he was a little shaken up. All the airbags deploying, a multi-car incident, not what you want to hear for anybody, but nonetheless, the starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. Because of this accident, we got news earlier today that Bryce Young will be the starting quarterback on Sunday when the Carolina Panthers go to Denver to face the Broncos. Now, this isn't how you want to get the starting job back, a car accident to your starting quarterback. But for Bryce Young, he's got to make the most of the opportunity. And I said it yesterday, and I'm sure we talked about it a few days ago as well. Was Bryce Young ever going to get an opportunity to be the starting quarterback again? And I wasn't too sure about it. I thought that maybe the Panthers were done with him and they were going to ride out the season with Dalton. But that's not the way it goes. Obviously, with Dalton having the injury, he has a sprained thumb on his right throwing hand. So I'm sure he was holding the wheel and, well, you could probably imagine what happened to his thumb. You hear about it a lot in NASCAR where the drivers actually take their hands off the wheel during an accident so they don't hurt their thumb or their wrist or arm or anything like that. But unfortunately for Dalton, he does have a sprained thumb on his right throwing hand. So Bryce Young is going to be back in the fold here as the starter for the Carolina Panthers on Sunday. They'll be on the road taking on the Broncos. This is a big game for Bryce Young. Not really for the Panthers, but for Bryce Young specifically. Because you look at the year that the Panthers have had, and it hasn't been good. It's been kind of what we expected, a poor start to the year. But Bryce Young got benched after 2 games. 0-2 to start the year, 3 interceptions, no touchdowns. We all know how it went. Andy Dalton comes in, immediately wins a game against the Raiders. And then since then, the Panthers have not won a game. I don't know if the minds of the front office of the Panthers has been made up on Bryce Young. But if there was ever a chance for him to change the thought process that the front office had, it is this coming Sunday. Now, it is a Sunday at 4:25 game. And it is on the road, so it is a late afternoon game. Not as many late games going on now as we get into the middle of the season here. I know, it's the middle of the NFL season already. Well, where did the time go, right? If Bryce Young is able to, I'm not even going to say win the game, work the offense, if he's able to put a couple of drives together, I wouldn't be surprised if the Panthers and Coach Canales and the upper management there say, you know what, let's put Bryce back in. He's been sitting for enough games now. You know, it started with the game against the Raiders, the Bengals, the Bears, and the Falcons, and now the Commanders. So that is 5 games that he has been sitting out of. If things go well for him on Sunday against the Broncos, I don't see why you don't give him a chance when we play the Saints at home the week after. And not only that, we have to keep an eye on the schedule. The Panthers have the Giants coming up in 3 weeks. You got this weekend, the weekend after against the Saints, and then in a couple of weekends from now, Panthers-Giants. That game is in Germany. Just a reminder for you. It's going to be at like 9 in the morning. 9:30, that is. That's a winnable game for the Panthers. And I'm not going to sit here and say that the Broncos and the Saints are not winnable games, because I do think they are. The Broncos are a startup team, I'd say. Got that new quarterback over there in Bo Nix. It is a winnable game. The Saints started the year on fire, and they haven't done anything since then. So it's another winnable game for the Panthers. If he looks good, Bryce Young, in those 2 games, if he looks good in the first game, you got to give him a second game. And if he looks good in the second game, I would give him the start against the Giants. Because after the Giants game, you come back to the States, and it's a bye week. Then there's a brutal stretch for the Panthers, where they take on the Chiefs, the Buccaneers, the Eagles, and the Cowboys. And it doesn't get any easier to end the season either with the Cardinals, Buccaneers, and Falcons. There's going to be something that happens after that Giants game during the bye week. Some kind of announcement, I'm sure, whether Andy Dalton's going to start the remaining games of the year or Bryce Young is going to start the remaining games of the year. But if he plays good on Sunday, if Bryce Young is able to, I'm not even say win. I'm not asking for him to win the game. Put a few drives together, score some points on offense, because look, go back to those first 2 games of the season. The Panthers scored 10 points against the Saints, and then they put up 3 against the Chargers. So Bryce Young was not producing points with this offense at the beginning of the year. 20, 25, somewhere around there. If we can get that many points, now I know 25 is a weird number. 24, 27 would be more natural of a football score. But if he's able to do that, just put a few 2, 3 touchdowns, not passing touchdowns, not him scoring, just the offense in general, driving down the field and putting touchdowns on the board. I would give him another start, because Bryce Young was the number 1 pick for this team. He was the future. The Panthers sold all their assets. They said, here, take our number 1 wide receiver, take some first-round picks for us, take some other picks for us. We want Bryce Young. And if he shows a hint that he has gotten better through this benching, you have to play him, because he still could be your future. Now, I know the Panthers, they probably have a plan of how they want to handle Bryce Young, but, you know, plans get messed up when injuries occur, right? And if Bryce Young looks good, I don't see any reason for the Panthers to go back to Andy Dalton. It's nice to know that he's there and ready just in case things go south again. I think right now what the Panthers are trying to avoid is an embarrassment. I really do. Because it was embarrassing to watch Bryce Young quarterback this offense. But if he can pull it together, show that this benching was beneficial to him, maybe he doesn't give up the starting job for the remainder of the year. Yet to be seen. We got to head to our final commercial of the program. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll wrap things up, get you off into the night. When we're back after this.
More of Sports Director Joe Berg's The Scoreboard is coming up on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, a warm Wednesday coming up, plenty of sunshine as temperatures warm up to around 80 for the afternoon. Around the lake, temperatures fall back tonight. It'll be mild under a clear sky, only dropping into the low and mid 50s. A little bit cooler as high temperatures drop back into the upper 70s for our Thursday and Friday. Back up around 80 for Saturday, but there's an even bigger cold front on the way by the end of the weekend. High temperatures will drop back into the 60s by Sunday and Monday. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center and meteorologist Chase Myers.
Cakes and cookies, toys and gifts.
The Southern Christmas Show, November 14th through 24th at the Park Expo and Conference Center. Save on tickets at southernChristmasShow.com, courtesy of Kraft Body Scan.
The Southern Christmas Show.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Brookdale Village in Huntersville presents the Live Under the Oaks season finale on Friday. This free outdoor concert series comes to a close with a Kids in America performance at 6 p.m. powered by Waves Entertainment. Grab your lawn chairs and your friends for the Live Under the Oaks season finale Friday night at Brookdale Village. Sunday is the annual Boo Fest at Ghostface Brewing in Mooresville. Put on your Halloween costume and enjoy the party with a live concert by Alice Cooper tribute band Love It to Death. Ghostface will be serving up cold brews, their delicious kitchen will be open with a full menu, and Beer Lab will have mixed drinks. Spend Sunday at Ghostface Brewing in Mooresville for the Boo Fest Halloween party. The Dirt Track at Charlotte Motor Speedway presents the World of Outlaws World Finals on the 6th of November through the 9th. Catch Dirt Racing's Top 3 Series for 4 days of action to decide their championships, featuring the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series, the World of Outlaws Late Model Series, and the Super Dirt Car Big Block Modifieds. Single day and 4-day ticket packages and camping information are all available at charlottemotorspeedway.com. Often imitated, never duplicated. The World of Outlaws World Finals invade the Charlotte Motor Speedway Dirt Track in November. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
The Renaissance Festival is back Saturdays and Sundays, now through November 24th. Eat, drink, be merry at the Renaissance Festival. Tickets available online only at renfestinfo.com. Don't miss it!
Hey folks, you know Randy Marion Ford Lincoln in Statesville is known for their prices and selection, but I tell you what, you may not have known the distinction that this store received with Ford and Lincoln this year. We received the President's Award for 2023 for Ford for the 5th year in a row. We also received it for Lincoln for the first year, and I tell you, those awards don't come easily. It all boils down to taking care of the customers and having the vehicles you want in stock for you to buy.
It's The Scoreboard with your host, Sports Director Joe Berg on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
And welcome back to the final segment here on The Scoreboard, ladies and gentlemen. 844-STUDIO-4. That's 844-788-3464 if you have something on your mind that you want to talk about. Before we get into the college football rankings, I want to turn our attention to NASCAR. As earlier today, a driver that has not raced for decades earned another win. Huh? You probably have no idea what that means, right? Let me explain. So the headline here is that NASCAR officials have awarded Bobby Allison with an 85th Cup victory, who now moves to 4th and sole possession of 4th on the all-time wins list. So here's what happened. In 1971, NASCAR raced at Bowman Gray Stadium. During that race, NASCAR decided to boost the field size for both the Cup Series, which was then called the Grand National Series, and its short-lived Grand American Series for pony cars like Camaros, Cougars, Firebirds, Mustangs. So NASCAR had 6 races that had a combination event for both divisions. Now, Allison won the race at Bowman Gray, But afterwards, there was a lot of commotion, and Richard Petty, who finished second in this race, was one of the leading people who were criticizing this event, saying, if we're running Grand National races, let's run Grand National cars. If we're running Grand American races, let's run Grand American cars. The officials then decided that that race would not have an official winner. Allison was not credited with what then would have been his 25th career win, and Petty was not elevated from second to first, so it doesn't affect his 200-win tally. But what NASCAR did is they went back and they said that win at Bowman Gray Stadium by Bobby Allison will now be recognized as an official NASCAR Cup victory. So because of that, Bobby Allison now has 85 career Cup wins. That moves him ahead of Darrell Waltrip and is now in sole possession of fourth behind Richard Petty, David Pearson, and Jeff Gordon. And with the win during the playoffs, Bobby Allison will be racing for a championship at Phoenix. No, I'm joking. Put him in the Final Four. Get him in a race car and put him in the Final Four. Why not? Let him go race for a championship. He won a race, right? He won a race during the round of 8. Am I wrong here? I'm probably wrong here. So that's just a little bit of news from NASCAR as they will be racing at Bowman Gray Stadium again for the first time since the 70s. It'll be the Clash to start 2025. Looking at that 2025 schedule, the Clash is going to be held on February 2nd. That'll be at Bowman Gray Stadium. Let's get into some college football because we haven't had a chance to talk much about it. I do want to get into the rankings. We have a new number 1 team in the country as Georgia beat Texas over the weekend. Texas was the number 1. Georgia was the number 5. Oregon at 7-0 is now the number 1 team in the country. Right behind them are those Georgia Bulldogs at number 2. Third is Penn State, Ohio State 4th, and Texas drops to 5. Rounding out the top 10, you have Miami, Tennessee, who jumps up after their win against Alabama, LSU, Clemson, and Iowa State. We talked about Clemson a little bit. Don't count them out yet. I know we had some fun poking fun at them at the beginning of the year for the no-show that they had against Georgia to start the year. And then I said, you know what? Maybe App State has a chance here. It could be a trap game. Clemson coming off of a bad loss. It wasn't meant to be. After that loss, Clemson has not lost another game. They actually currently lead the ACC standings. Your ACC standings are as followed. Clemson, number 1 at 5-0. Miami and SMU, both 3-0. And then you have Pittsburgh, 2-0. A few 2-1 teams, Duke, Syracuse, Virginia Tech, and then the remaining teams are pretty much out of it. So don't count out those Tigers, those Clemson, the number 9 right now in the rankings. Some other notable things here. Alabama, for the first time since Nick Saban's first year as head coach, Alabama has 2 losses before November. That has dropped them to 15th in the national rankings. Now, it's not all doom and gloom if you're an Alabama fan because of the 12-team expanded playoff. They got to get up. I mean, I don't know what the comfort range is, right? We don't know. Like, this is the first year that we've ever had this playoff format. So I'm not sure where you want to be ranked to where you'd feel comfortable. Obviously, the top 5 teams in the country feel very comfortable about where they're ranked, right? But then you have Alabama at 15. Texas A&M is 14. Indiana having a great year, up to 13. Notre Dame sitting at 12. Are you safe in 12th? I don't think you are. I think 12th is you're out. I think you have to be inside the top 10 to really be sure that you're going to make the playoffs. And there is a long way to go in the season. We're not quite at the end. Maybe not a long way to go, but we still have plenty of games left to where we could see some teams in the top 10 fall out of the top 10 and maybe Alabama able to get into the top 10 and We'll see. I mean, it really depends on these conference championships. It depends on how many of the conference champions are not already in the top 25. Like, there's a lot of moving parts with how this playoff is going to work, to the point where you can't predict it. You can't. You can say, oh, I think this team's, like, we could say, oh, I think Georgia's going to win. You know, when we get to the SEC conference championship. Well, right now they wouldn't be playing in the conference championship. It would be Texas A&M and LSU playing in the conference championship. Texas A&M 14th, LSU 8th in the rankings. Like, we have no idea how this is going to shake out in college football. I'm excited. I think the chaos is going to really incite a lot of oh my goodness, what just happened moments. And I think that's what the NCAA is looking for here. But it's also going to give us a true champion, in my opinion. I think that going through a playoff and beating the best of the best is the best way to determine a champion. Every other league does that. I know in the past they didn't always do that. Like Major League Baseball, we've talked about it in the past. If you won the American League, you went to the World Series. If you won the National League, you went to the World Series. It's not like that anymore, because it's not really how I would determine a champion. A regular season is long. Things happen. Maybe you're not the best team in the regular season, but you get hot at the right time and you become the best team. We could see something like that. We have no idea. I wish I could make a prediction on who's going to be in and who's going to be out of the college football playoff, but we have so many games remaining. I mean, most of these teams have 5 games remaining, plus a conference championship if they get into that. I mean, it's going to be a mess. It really is. And I'm excited. I like it. So that's how your rankings shake out. We have some good college football games coming up this weekend. We talked about some of the games that are going to be taking place tonight. Not really all that important when it comes to the rankings. But Friday and Saturday, we have some big games. Notre Dame taking on Navy. That's at 12-24, a rivalry game at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. We got plenty of good football coming up on Friday and on Saturday. Don't even forget that Boise State is going to be playing on Friday night against UNLV. Everybody's favorite college player right now, Ashton Genty, the running back for Boise State. How's he going to do? You have big games, Ohio State taking on Nebraska. That's a big one there. Oregon playing Illinois, a 1-20. 15-21, huge game for Alabama if they want to continue their hike to the playoffs. If Alabama loses this game, they're not going to make the playoffs. I think they might even drop out of the rankings if Alabama loses to Missouri. Texas and Vanderbilt, that's a 5-25. And then LSU and A&M, we just talked about it. If the season ended today, that would be your SEC championship game. Crazy, right? I know. This year is going to be wild. It really is. Before we head out for the day, as we do every single day, we got to talk about some things that happened on this day, October 23rd, in sports history. Starting with, let's go a little bit more recent. On this day, Game 7 of the ALCS last year, the Texas Rangers beat the Houston Astros 11-4, winning the series in 7 and advancing to the World Series. They would end up winning the World Series, as we know. Little nod to hockey, as yesterday was the Frozen Frenzy. 2008, Joe Sakic scores his final career goal, number 625, against the Edmonton Oilers. Those are some of the things that happened on this day in sports history. I want to say thank you to everyone for tuning into the program today. I always have a lot of fun talking to you. Tomorrow, we get to preview Thursday night football. We're going to get more into NASCAR, talk a little Homestead, maybe hear from some drivers. Until then, hope everybody has a good night. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Serving you better than ever before. 105.9 100.7 WSIC, Statesville, Mooresville, North Charlotte.